Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to talk about politics. So, Reform UK seem to be a bit confused as to how to proceed. They're big on the anti-immigration rhetoric, you may have noticed. Yet the news today is that net migration fell by 69% during Labour's first year in office. But more than the percentage drop, it now puts the figure not on course for where it was like over a decade ago when it was fine. Actually there, it's done, before Brexit spiked it. So this invites a few quick areas of discussion. First, why were Labour doing big press conferences to announce anti-immigration and asylum measures at the drop of a hat, yet have got nothing to say about what many voters would consider a success? A second, is this really a good thing? And third, are Reform UK concerned that one of their major platforms seems to have crumbled? So let's look at what's happening first of all. Net migration fell from June 2024 to June 2025 by 69%. This sounds huge. Certainly something Labour should be promoting the hell out of. For reasons I'll go over in a moment, I don't really see this as good news. However, many voters do. Labour have been trying to appeal to those voters. Of course they are, they're politicians. So why not make a big song and dance about it? But beyond the 69% reduction, it also represents the figure from a more normal time. Just over 200,000 is basically where it was before Brexit. This chart going up to 2023, when Brexit spiked immigration to headline-grabbing levels, shows that 200 used to be fairly normal. So will a big chunk of the public calm down about it now? I suspect only if Labour push it. The media are very good at sounding the alarm when something sounds scary, but then not bothering to say anything when the alarm has been switched off. This leaves people thinking the alarm is still going. Unless Labour are just being slow and are planning on a big push on this next week, I fear it's going to be one of those things where Starmer gets the worst of both worlds. Fails to get the credit for what the public want, but has to deal with the cost. Because there is a cost. This savage reduction in net migration is fed by workers and students. Foreign students come to this country and spend a fortune. They are super tourists. Would anyone, even Nigel Farage, suggest that we would not welcome foreign tourists, holidaymakers? No, of course not. Well, what's the difference with students? They just stay here longer and spend more money. Insane that we would actively put in place policies to turn them away. Even more insane that when you do so, you don't even publicise the figures. That loss of foreign students is a blow to one of the few major exports we have that is a success and wasn't battered by Brexit. Because when students come here to study, that is us exporting our education, but even better because they have to come here for the export, which means they spend more money in the UK economy as they buy local goods and services. Like, it's brilliant. Soft power too, because they learn about British culture, for which these days I find myself having to apologise far more than I should. As for the workers, that's just lost productivity. Nurses, doctors, engineers. The Bank of England has been saying for years that it weren't for immigration, we'd have had no economic growth at all. Labour are going to have to deal with the economic hit from losing these workers and students. They'll have had to price that in. When they decided to carry on with the Conservatives' work to savagely cut back on net migration numbers artificially, they will have had to price in the economic cost. They will be hoping that their investments will produce more growth than these immigration measures cost us. And so I say again, given that Labour have deliberately applied artificial brakes to economic growth by continuing these Tory moves to unwisely restrict economic migration, why are they at least not shouting the results from the rooftops? We've thrown a spanner into our economy, but we've done it to stop as many foreigners being here. But is this also a problem for Reform UK? The Tories are trying to claim credit for the figures. Now, of course, they did indeed begin the policies which led to this, though Labour added to them. So it's sort of a mixture of the two governments. But still, how come what happens to immigration after they leave power is down to them, but what happens to the economy, even before Labour's budget was fully implemented, has nothing to do with them? One or the other, please. Interestingly, I see Tom Harwood from GB News trying to give credit specifically to Robert Jenrick. But actually the policies which were implemented by the Tories were after he left the Home Office. That was when James Cleverly became Home Secretary, just before the election. Still, the Tories are trying to claim credit, as you'd expect, and not completely unreasonably. They did indeed begin some of these policies. But Reform UK are caught a bit. It works against their claims that mainstream politics can't deal with the issue. Actually makes no difference to voters whether it was the Conservatives or Labour that are responsible for this. It's still mainstream politics. Yes, Reform UK have succeeded in getting Labour and the Conservatives to, foolishly in my opinion, focus on asylum specifically, and they can probably keep that up. But the raw numbers of net migration are now spectacularly down. I mean, we were being told a couple of years ago, oh, it's like 1 million, it's 1 million, it's ridiculous, can't have 1 million, can't have 1 million. It's like 200,000, mate. You know, it's where it was in the days when only a few fringe loonies were voting for Nigel Farage. Can Reform UK really sustain itself only on asylum? There are only so many voters who seriously want zero net migration, and Farage will struggle to really come up with a robust plan for even delivering that. In fact, it would be very difficult for Nigel Farage to come up with any robust plan to deliver lower net migration than we right now have. This represents a serious issue for Reform UK. It makes it harder to say established politics can't deal with perceived problems, especially if Labour also deal with the other two big issues of the NHS and cost of living, for which they do have credible plans. It means immigration as a broad platform suddenly got a lot narrower. Narrower platforms can't hold as many voters. Will Farage be able to swamp talk of net migration with asylum now? Even if he can, will even that platform narrow if some of Labour's moves there work as well? At the very least, if there are no asylum hotels in operation, that should narrow the platform too. After that, what does Farage really have? Most of his appeal right now is that of a mystery box when the known quantities seem to be failing, exactly like Brexit. That referendum would not have won a few years earlier or a few years later. It was after Tory austerity had been in place long enough to cause noticeable harm and therefore trash the reputation of the Tories, and soon enough after the banking crisis that Labour were not fully trusted either. Just the right time to dismiss established politics as failing, so vote for the mystery box. Can't get any worse. Farage is attempting to replicate exactly the same trick, but it's a struggle because he needs it to still be working in 2029. I think the ground is crumbling under Farage a bit here. And these immigration figures are not the only example of it. More tomorrow on the racism accusations. How do you think the public will react to net migration figures back to where they were over a decade ago? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please subscribe to the channel for more content. Click the bell notification so you know when new videos are out. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.